This is your daily reminder. God has not run out of mercy, not for you, not today. Welcome to the New Mercies Podcast. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, March the 10th, and we are reading today in the book of Luke chapter 22 specifically. There is a lot of text in Luke 22, so I want to encourage you, read the whole thing, read it slowly today. It's a story, it's the storyline of Jesus in the last couple of hours of his life, literally. It gives us the date at the beginning of Luke 22. It says it's the time for Passover is come. Here it is. It's the day. And there's a plot to kill Jesus. Now, in this text, I hope and pray you read the whole thing today. I'm gonna bring out just a couple of thoughts, and then I'm going to tell you where I feel like the Lord is speaking to me today to challenge me and to challenge all of our listeners to the New Mercies Podcast. We are jumping in to a scene that is taking place. There's a plot to kill Jesus. So then what happens? It talks about this man named Judas and how he is in on this plot. He is going to be the tool used to arrest Jesus and to have him betrayed. He is the one that is going to be the betrayer. So here's how Luke 22, as it flows, begins with this plot to kill Jesus. It dates it for us. Then the person of Judas and what he's going to get involved with. Then he talks to Peter and John, these two disciples, and he tells them, he says, hey, I need you to go and prepare the place that we're going to take Passover together. So he gives them very unique instructions. Just to kind of give you a little overview of it, it's verses 7 down through verse number 14 or 13 or 14. And here's what happens. Jesus says, hey, listen, I want you to go and find a guy carrying a jar of water in the city, follow him to his house, ask the master of that house, hey, where's the room that you've prepared for the teacher? And they're going to lead you to a room. It's an upper room in this house. You can get it there from the outside stairs. Most likely, this was probably the place in the book of Acts where we see the believers gathering. The church began probably in this upper room that was prepared for Jesus. Now, it's kind of strange because you think, why would they go in and find a guy with a water jar and what's going on? Well, in the southeast corner of Jerusalem, the oldest part of the city was where the original city of David was. It's where the water supply came in. The oldest, most ancient water supply came into Jerusalem in that place. And most of the time, it was females' jobs. It was the woman's job to carry the water from one place to another. So a man carrying a water jar would have been a signal. That would have been unusual. And so Jesus says, hey, go find a guy carrying water. Most of the time when Jesus is doing something, it's a little bit unusual, right? It's a little bit unique. And so I read that today and I saw it and I think, okay, here's what's happening. He's getting his disciples together, go and prepare the place for us to meet, to have Passover together, to have a feast together. Then the Lord calls his disciples together. They go meet there. They have the Passover feast. They have the Jewish Seder, as they will say in our culture today. So they have Passover together. He institutes the Passover that we're supposed to take communion. The Lord's Supper is instituted this moment. Then we see a couple of things happen. So all this is happening really at a table, right? This is him having supper with his disciples, and he's now saying towards the end of the supper, there's one of you that's going to betray me. He's here at this table right now. Can you imagine everybody as they're trying to figure out what's going on? They're saying, oh, who is it that's going to do this? They're looking around trying to find a guilty face, and everybody is trying to come to their own defense, right? Well, it's not going to be me. I would never deny Jesus. I would never betray Jesus. What are you talking about? I would never betray you, Lord. You're the greatest. Why would I betray you? I want to read how this scene takes place. So I kind of categorize this scene as what's happening at the table, and then there's something that happens in a garden next, and then if you keep reading, you can see the progression of the way it all goes. But I want to read just a couple of verses to you, found down in Luke 22, beginning at verse 24. So here's what's happened. They began to question one another in verse 23. Who could it be that's going to betray Jesus? Then in verse 24 it says this, a dispute also arose among them as to which of them was to be regarded as the greatest. And he said, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them in those authority. Over them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather, let the greatest among you become as the youngest, and the leader as the one who serves. I want to stop right there. Jesus has already dealt with this before. If you go back in the book of Luke to chapter 9, you can see this question gets asked. You can also see it in the book of Matthew, specifically in chapter 18. The disciples say, which one of us is the greatest? Now, here we are again, and the disciples are asking the same question. It's a dispute that arises. This strife happens at the table. They've just instituted the Lord's Supper. What is happening? How are they arguing? Well, they're arguing, if you think it's a natural progression for us. Jesus has just said somebody is going to betray me. And so they're like, well, it wouldn't be me. Well, I'm not the one. I'm not going to betray you. I'm not the one. And they say, I'm the closest to him. Whoa, you're no closer to Jesus than I am. Hang on, I'm his favorite. I'm the greatest. He's already kind of talked to me a little bit. I'm gonna be the greatest in the kingdom. I'm gonna be the greatest. You go back and look, and what Jesus says before, he's already addressed this once, and he says the greatest. He brings a little child over the first time this happens. He says the greatest is like this little one, like a childlike faith that just wants to be there and be around and be present and be whole and just jump in. This is the greatest. The greatest are those with this innocent heart, innocent mind that just want to be around Jesus. That's who the greatest are. And he says again here, the greatest of you must be like the youngest. What's he say? He's saying again, it's not about how much power and influence you gain. It's about your dependency. That's the greatest. Don't strive to gain more followers and gain more influence. Strive to be what God's called you to be. Be humble. And he says the leader should be the one who serves. And then he keeps going. Listen to the next couple of verses. For who is the greater, one who reclines at the table or one who serves? Is it not the one who reclines at the table? But I am among you as the one who serves. You are those who have stayed with me in my trials, and I assign to you, as my Father assigned to me, a kingdom, that you may eat and drink at my table in the kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, we talked yesterday and this past week about Luke 21 and some end times things. There's a couple of things that are going on. There are the initial things that they will experience through trials and sufferings and the kingdom of Jerusalem, the temple falling and being destroyed. And then there's some eschatological viewpoints of what God is pointing to in the future, what Jesus is talking about that's going to happen thousands of years later. Hopefully, prayerfully, I believe in our generation, this is when God's going to accomplish these things. And as Jesus is telling them this, he says, listen, who's the greatest and who's the least? You're going to assume the one who serves is the lowest, right? Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm serving you. Jesus is over here breaking the bread, serving it. Jesus is pouring the cup and sharing it. Jesus is the one serving. He's washed feet. He's serving them. He's saying, you all are fighting over who's the greatest, and I'm the one serving all of you. Maybe take a note here, because he says there's something great coming for you. There's something great that's going to be going on. I've prepared for you a place in a kingdom. Here's what's happened. The disciples have got a distorted view of what the kingdom is. They're assuming Jesus is going to take over Rome. They're at the peak of their ministry. Everything's going great right now. Jesus is having Passover with them, and he's sharing about this new covenant. I'm confused. What does that mean? Covenant's in his blood. There's a lot to happen here. There's some things, again, that is talking about eschatological things that are happening. There's also some soteriological things, meaning like the principles of the church and salvation and the way that salvation comes and how the church is to respond to that. There's a lot that Jesus is unpacking here, and the disciples are they're in the middle of an argument saying, who's the greatest, who's the greatest? My challenge to you today, the mercy God showed me today, is I'm not sure if you're a person that tries to leverage influence or leverage resources or leverage position, but here's what I will say today. It's time we serve everyone. I was telling my kids just the other day, they were talking about what are they supposed to do when they grow up? And I said, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do when I grow up, right? I don't know. None of us really know. What we can ask, the question we're supposed to ask, though, is not, what am I supposed to do? Maybe it's, who am I supposed to serve? Who am I called to serve? Am I called to serve a church? Yes, that's what God's called me to do right now. I am serving the church body to the best of my abilities and the best of my understanding. And every day I'm learning more and more how to do that better and better. But here's what I believe all of us should ask the question. Who are we called to serve? That's who the greatest is. It's the one who serves. Jesus came and served. He's greater than all of us. So who are we going to serve today? There's a lot more in Luke chapter 22. My encouragement to you today, my question to you today, is who are you going to serve? It may not look like a lot of power and prestige, but I promise you this, if God's calling you to serve somebody, and if that's how you're obedient to Him, there's nothing greater in this world. Who are you called to serve today?